But look at this, HuK with 16 Zealots against the 5 Zealots of KiwiKaki. KiwiKaki having to back all the way to his main, killing off this forward pylon. All these Phoenixes are going to annihilate that big Colossus if they do get the chance to poke up to it. And also, Phoenixes are way faster than Vikings. They do have the chance to run in there, pick off the Colossus, and right back out again.
HuK is looking around with those Phoenixes, checking to see if his opponent did take down those destructible rocks. Is he going to be lifting any units right here? He does see the fact that Colossus is out on the field. He's actually pushing up the ramp right now. Here comes a big
and
fight.
There's the Colossus taking up a huge amount of damage, and there's the Guardian Shield. This Colossus is already down to half-life. There are just way too many Zealots here for HuK. Looks like the Colossus is going to go down, and here's the huge mass lift. The Stalkers of HuK are doing huge amounts of damage, and there are all these Zealots pushing the remaining Stalkers back. This Phoenix mix by HuK was an absolute brilliant choice as he was low on gas at the start. And good game. HuK with a very decisive win in that game too.
Now we do have, that's going to put HuK up to 3-2 right now, first to fourth, so he has one more win,
game
and he's going to be the grand champion here at MLG Raleigh.
And I mean, again, I just cannot emphasize how awesome, that was totally sweet that he won Phoenixes, because, sorry, I didn't mean to spray you there.
It's all right.
But what's so cool about that is that not only did Phoenixes work so well in the unit mix, obviously lifting up the Stalkers, taking out the Colossus as well, but it was a great choice because HuK had his gas stolen early.
Yeah, and I mean, that's one of the things that I liked from KiwiKaki there. Although it didn't really do anything that big, he definitely made sure that his gas actually wasn't stolen in that game right there. He did have it stolen in the first game on Steps of War. Looks like we are going to be going on to Blistering Sands here in Game 3, actually Game 5 between the two players, but Game 3 of the Grand Finals.
And what I really like a lot about this map, Blistering Sands, is that it's a little more distance, so that means it's a little bit easier to get an expansion up. Delta Quadrant, I call it the 4-player Steps of War because those spots are so close. Game 1 was Steps of War, which I call Steps of War. It's a very close map, right? Like, this is going to give the chance for KiwiKaki to play a little bit longer of a game and not have to rely too much on these all-in style plays.
All right, guys, well, here's a little bit of a map preview from Kelly herself.
Blistering Sands is a 2-player map with spawn points at the 2 and 7 o'clock positions. Long distances between each base typically create a longer game. Destructible rocks can be found at alternate entrances into each main base, so generally players place a building to scout oncoming attacks. Natural expansions can be found right down the ramp from the main base, and quite often players will fast expand. Expect to see Protoss users wall off with 2 buildings as the narrow choke allows for it. High yield expansions are at the 11 and 5 o'clock positions with Zilnaga towers in the middle of the map providing sight to any approaching attacks.
So here we have KiwiKaki spawning in the top right position on Blistering Sands as the blue Protoss. If you're in a crowd here, give a cheer to your favorite Canadian Protoss, KiwiKaki. Very good crowd. And of course, HuK in the bottom left as the red Protoss pieces.
And yeah, Blistering Sands, this map does usually favor somewhat of a fast expand build, but really, I think both players, we've seen them do pretty much the one base play every game. Do you think that you might see somewhat of a more economical build in this match?
I think the players will open up generally with some sort of big push, whether it be some sort of 2-gateway robo push or even maybe 3 or 4 gateway. But then there is always the chance to expand a little while after that quite safely. And look, KiwiKaki always checking for cheese. He's one of the most consistent players in this tournament for checking if anything fishy is going on. He will get to his opponent's base a little bit later, but that's not too big of a deal. He's going to make certain that nothing goofy happens. So, yeah, I mean, I would like to see more early expands this game, though. Both
players went ahead and sent out a probe just to make sure that their opponents are not up to anything crazy. Proxy pylons or proxy gateways often occur earlier on this map, and looks like both players aren't going to be doing anything of that nature, but they have to make sure just in case.
That's right. I mean, on this map, there's especially a lot of places to hide. You can hide it on the left side of your main plateau, behind the natural expansion, down here by the gold, anywhere around this Zilnaga watchtower. So very good by KiwiKaki to spot all those places. KiwiKaki throwing down another very late gateway. Nothing wrong with that. He's focusing more on probes early on. HuK getting a little bit earlier of a gateway himself, and as usual, chrono boosting his probes as much as he can.
Looks like gas going down for both players, so we're not going to see any crazy cheese with a 3-gate zone. Actually, KiwiKaki getting stuck there with his probe. Clicking on the minerals allows them, and there's the gas still.
I'm not sure if I necessarily like this or not, because HuK is just playing so well against this, and HuK saying, no, that is a good idea. I'm going to steal your gas too. So both players, again, doing this very, very low on gas play, high on minerals, which could lead to an early expand.
Indeed, we'll have to see exactly what players are going to be up to, as both players have stolen the gas. There goes the Cybernetics core for KiwiKaki. Is HuK going to be throwing it down anytime soon? Looks like he's saving up the minerals for it, and KiwiKaki actually doing a little bit of harassment on HuK, trying to stop that Cybernetics core from going down, but HuK does go ahead and get it down.
And it looks like this pylon's a little bit late for KiwiKaki as he is getting supply blocked. That Cybernetics core is, of course, en route. Very fast second gateway by KiwiKaki, letting his plans be known. HuK hasn't built a second gateway himself yet. And, ooh, there's 2 in gas for HuK. That's a little bit weird of a choice. And by weird of a choice, I mean that's a mistake. Okay, there's 3 in gas finally going on. It looks like we have a pretty mirror match going on from both players at this point.
Yeah, HuK might just be a little bit nervous. Here comes the Stalker coming out for KiwiKaki right now. Some probes there on the trail there with KiwiKaki's right behind HuK's. And do we have a Stalker coming out for HuK? Yes, we do. And another gateway has been thrown down. Up to 3 gates for HuK, and KiwiKaki only on 2 right now.
And we haven't seen that, yeah, like you said, that third gateway from KiwiKaki is nowhere to be found. He's spending it on a little bit more expensive units of the Stalker, wants to be able to deal with any sort of Zealot pressure early on. HuK also getting many of some Stalkers himself. We do see these 2 probes from KiwiKaki are now retreating to these 2 Xel'Naga watchtowers. So smart to keep that spotting up. And both players are also chrono boosting their warp gates. Nothing too out of the ordinary right now, but already because those warp gates make units so quickly, you need to be very careful to defend your ramp.
Yeah, KiwiKaki actually chrono boosting his probes instead of that research of the warp gate. So he's trying to get more probes than his opponent, obviously. And HuK is actually going to be chrono boosting the warp gate still. So let's go into the income tab. Looks like KiwiKaki a little bit ahead right now in the harvester count. Doesn't make too much, but it's all the subtle things here in StarCraft.
Yeah, and you know what I love a lot about this game already is the difference between the 2 players. Expenditure of money, more Zealots and Sentries coming out for HuK, and more Stalkers coming out for KiwiKaki. I mean, if your control is as good as KiwiKaki's, that's what you should be doing. I mean, he has absolute pristine control with those Stalkers, and they are extremely fast units. Look, already moving away from the gas as he's killing it off. And there's 2 more gateways from KiwiKaki. I love this aggressive 4-gate style, but with this mix that HuK is going for, I think he's going to be in good shape being able to defend against it.
KiwiKaki did send those 3 Stalkers out into the left of his main. He's scouting for any sneaky play from his fellow Canadian player, HuK, and looks like HuK is actually going for somewhat of a similar build right now. He does have 4 gates, excuse me, and he's going ahead and getting his second gas. We only have 3 gates right now, 4 gates for KiwiKaki as well, so both players going for a 4-gate build, and KiwiKaki does have this forward pylon, so he might be the aggressor right now.
KiwiKaki is going to have a little bit of a window because these 4 gateways were finished long before his opponents, and oh yes, indeed, KiwiKaki loves having more aggressive opportunities, killing off these back-destructible rocks. HuK does have a pylon here. I don't know if he sees going to the HuK cam. He would have to be actively looking down there as there's nothing on the minimap, but yes, there's a sentry getting warped in, wants to be able to throw down force fields if at all necessary, but oh, never leave your front ramp abandoned. That is so dangerous. What makes this map so difficult is this destructible rock in the back, but people tend to forget about their front door.
Yeah, this is one of those maps where if the aggressor is taking down those destructible rocks, he can easily pop back over into that natural expansion and go up that ramp, and then just pop back right into your main. So you definitely have to be careful. HuK keeping his Stalkers in the front to get the attack before the units can actually go up the ramp, because remember, in StarCraft 2, high ground does have the advantage.
Yeah, and I do want to note that neither player is making probes at this point. KiwiKaki now moving up, able to snipe down one of those Stalkers, and oh, getting trapped. Oh, this is going to be a Stalker massacre. HuK morphing in more units. This is a terrible position for KiwiKaki to be in, and another force field gets thrown down. KiwiKaki's food has plummeted with that play, and that is why it is dangerous to get Stalkers in tight places.
Indeed, KiwiKaki was a little bit flustered right there. He went ahead and actually attacking one of his Stalkers with all of his own. Didn't actually kill it, but definitely showing the fact that that was not a nice force field to be on the opposite end of. And HuK is actually going for a nice counterattack here. Is he going to start taking out these rocks of his opponent? Yes, he is.
And it looks like the gas has not yet been retaken by KiwiKaki. That means that he will not have enough sentries to repel this with 4 fields. He will need pure brunt might to be able to deal with it, but Zealots plus force fields are so tough to deal with. He is annihilating these destructible rocks so quickly, and this is going to be almost impossible for KiwiKaki to hold off.
And while all this is going on, HuK has gone ahead and thrown down a robotic facility, and here comes HuK pushing into the main of KiwiKaki. KiwiKaki is definitely going to be in a tough spot right now, even pulling probes for this
pulling
fight.
Probes off. Now it looks like KiwiKaki has a slightly bigger base army mix, but look at those force fields doing so much damage, and HuK has an insanely high Zealot count. All the Zealots of KiwiKaki are just evaporating, and KiwiKaki is slowly falling behind on the Stalker count as well. HuK pushing in to do, it looks like, the final blow. HuK currently up 3-2, could take the championship with this push right here, killing off all the Stalkers, no matter how much Micro, you have.
And
it's
GG.
not going to be enough. HuK winning that series decisively.
And HuK is the grand champion here at MLG Raleigh. Let's give another round of applause for our champion, HuK.
And there he is standing up on the right. He played an amazing tournament, came straight through the winner's bracket, defeated KiwiKaki in the winner's bracket finals, and then in the grand finals, managed to take the series very, very convincingly. He's really definitely stepped up his play from the tournaments we've recently seen, absolutely exploiting more, expanding different tech patterns. The Phoenixes in Game 2 today were very awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, he went to a tournament last weekend, didn't make it out of the group play, comes to this tournament, 1 week turnaround, wins the whole thing. So, I mean, it just proves the fact that that's what it takes to be a pro player. You recognize what happened in that tournament, and you fix it in under a week. I mean, he probably played a ton of games to work on his play.
Yeah, and even in the Razor King of the Beta tournament hosted by this guy, I mean, what was amazing is that HuK did get eliminated almost immediately in that tournament. He was 0-3 in his group, went 1-2 with all his opponents, and when I spoke to him, he was more motivated than ever. He's the sort of player that anything but first place drives him to play harder and harder and harder. So that definitely showed through today.
Now, kind of looking back, looking at the tournament as a whole, did you have any kind of major upsets in your eyes or anything that you would like to recap on before we wrap things up?
Well, there's a few notable good Terran players who were performing beautifully in the winner's bracket, and they lost their series in the winner's bracket, and in the very next round in their loser's bracket game just plummeted out of the tournament. HuK and QXC both are two examples of that. HuK was playing just great in all his tournament games, barely lost to HuK, just so close that series was, but you know, then he immediately went to the loser's bracket and he was gone. It was kind of startling to see a player of that caliber go out that quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things here at MLG Raleigh. We had a ton of great players.
Yeah.
And while we weren't able to bring you guys every single match out there, in that upper bracket, when it got down to the semifinals, it was insane. But we're going to be back here with our prize presentation and a final breakdown of the tournament here in MLG Raleigh.
People try to discourage us from eating Hot Pockets on the go.
You look like a fool with those buns. Nurse!
But as free eaters, we're here to stay.
New Hot Pocket Side Shots cheeseburgers, soft baked buns of awesomeness you can eat wherever. Eat freely.
High five it.